Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive with us.
It's great to be here.
Today, we're tackling a classic, Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces.
Big one?
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the hero's journey.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they think, okay, so myths and movies, right?
Sure.
Like that's kind of the realm of the hero's journey.
Yeah, you think Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, all that?
Yeah, exactly. But Campbell, he goes deeper, right?
Oh, yeah. He really digs into this idea that it's not just about these like epic stories.
Right.
It's a pattern that pops up like everywhere.
Yeah, he calls it a monomyth, right?
Yeah, the monomyth is like blueprint that he
Yeah.
found across cultures and time periods.
So what's the big idea with the monomyth? I mean, is it just that like all these stories kind of accidentally follow the same pattern? Or is he saying something more than that?
Oh, he's definitely saying something more. It's almost like we're hardwired for these stories, like
Okay.
they resonate on such a deep level because they're tapping into something fundamental about the human experience.
So it's like a psychological map or something.
Exactly. It's a way of understanding how humans navigate change and growth, how we face challenges, and ultimately transform.
And he breaks this down into stages, right?
He does. He outlines three main stages:
Okay.
departure, initiation, and return.
So I'm picturing like a little diagram in my head.
Here.
But give us an example to kind of bring it to life.
Okay, let's take Odysseus, the classic Greek hero.
Sure.
His departure is leaving Troy after the war, yearning for home.
Right. Wants to get back to Penelope.
Exactly, but then comes initiation, and the gods are not making it easy for him.
Wow.
He's hit with storms, monsters, divine wrath, you name it, years of trials, testing him to his very core.
Yeah, that's one commute I would want to skip.
For sure.
But he makes it back eventually, right?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's transformed by those trials.
Right.
That's the return. He's not just going back to the same old Ithaca.
Right.
He's arriving wiser, stronger, ready to reclaim his kingdom and his family.
Okay, so Odysseus goes through it, but what about like us regular folks?
Yeah.
Campbell suggested this pattern shows up in our lives too.
Think about it. Have you ever had a moment that completely disrupted your routine? Something that challenged you to step outside your comfort zone?
Like when I tried that online pottery class during lockdown,
Maybe.
I don't about transforming,
Yeah.
but it was definitely outside my comfort zone.
Well, Campbell would call that a call to adventure.
Okay.
He uses this great example in the book, The Princess and the Frog.
Okay, I'm familiar with this one.
Right? She's living this predictable life until, bam, this frog shows up demanding her help.
Right, he needs a kiss.
Well, in the book, it's more about her overcoming her disgust and agreeing to help him.
Right, right.
But that's the point. It's a total disruption of her ordinary world.
So is the frog the call to adventure?
Exactly. And notice she initially resists,
Yeah, who wouldn't?
That hesitation is key, too. It's that wait, what moment we all have when facing the unknown.
Right.
But eventually she takes a leap of faith, and that's when she crosses the threshold.
So she crosses the threshold by kissing the frog.
Well, more like by agreeing to help him. It's about leaving behind the familiar world for the unknown.
Gotcha. So it's like a symbolic crossing.
Exactly. That's when the real adventure begins.
I bet it gets pretty intense from there.
Mhm.
So does Campbell give us any hints about what to expect when we cross our own thresholds?
He describes it as entering the belly of the whale.
Okay, Billy the Whale, now we're talking.
Yeah, it's this powerful image symbolizing a kind of symbolic death and rebirth.
Okay, so not literal whales then.
No, it's a metaphor. He uses examples like Jonah and the whale, but
Mhm.
also Finn McCool being swallowed by a Celtic monster and even Hiawatha by a giant fish.
Wow, it's like this recurring image across cultures.
It is, and it's fascinating. What he's really getting at is this idea of being engulfed by a powerful force, almost like a symbolic descent into the depths of our unconscious.
Okay, I'm with you so far, but what does this belly of the whale experience actually mean for us? The ones not battling sea monsters.
It means that facing fears and challenges is baked into the process of growth, just like those mythical heroes. We encounter threshold guardians, obstacles standing between us and our goals.
Right.
But remember, those guardians aren't always external. Sometimes the toughest battles are with our own doubts and anxieties.
So you're telling me battling my procrastination monster counts as heroic? I like where this is going.
Absolutely.
But what about support? Do we get any magical swords or wise mentors on our journeys?
We may not get enchanted weapons, but we do find support.
Okay.
Think about it. Friends, family mentors, even a good book can offer guidance and encouragement when we're facing a challenge.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It's about recognizing those sources of support, those inner and outer resources that help us through.
I see. So even though our journeys are unique, We're not alone in taking them.
Exactly. And just as the hero needs to gather their courage to cross the threshold, so do we.
Right.
But once we take that step, something truly remarkable can happen. We enter a phase of potential transformation, a stage, Campbell calls meeting with the goddess. And meeting with the goddess, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's not just about encountering a literal goddess, though. Campbell has plenty of those examples.
Right. He talks about Inanna descending into the underworld to face her sister, Ereshkigal, the Queen of Death.
Exactly. Pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah. So how does that relate to our everyday lives?
Well, think of it this way. It's about connecting with a powerful feminine energy,
Okay.
a source of wisdom, compassion nurturing it. Could be a mentor, a teacher, or even that quiet voice within you that guides you toward growth.
So it's not about like gender roles or anything. It's about tapping into those qualities, those archetypes.
Exactly. And this stage is all about integration and healing. It's like a pause in the hero's journey, a moment to gather strength and wisdom before the next challenge.
Because there's always another challenge, right?
Oh, yeah, always.
So what comes after meeting with the goddess?
Well, according to Campbell, it's the stage of atonement with the Father.
Atonement with the Father. Okay, I'm getting some Freud vibes here.
A little bit, yeah.
We're not just talking about our actual dads, are we?
Not necessarily. The Father can be any force that holds us back.
Huh.
Whether it's societal expectations, limiting beliefs, or even our own inner critic.
So it's about those things that stand in the way of our full potential.
Exactly. Campbell uses the example of Krishna slaying the tyrannical king Kansa in Hindu mythology.
Okay, I vaguely remember that one.
It's a vivid image of overcoming a force that was preventing him from fulfilling his destiny.
So it's not about literally fighting our fathers. It's about confronting those inner and outer demons that hold us back.
Right. And just like those heroes often receive guidance and support along the way, we can too.
Right.
It's about recognizing the resources available to us, whether it's our community, our inner strength, or even the wisdom we find in books and stories.
It's interesting how much symbolism Campbell packs into this framework.
He does.
So they've got the belly of the whale,
Sure.
the goddess, the father figure. He's saying, look, the world is full of these archetypal images, these recurring patterns.
Yeah.
And they're trying to tell you something.
Absolutely. And one of the most potent symbols he explores is the world navel.
Okay, world navel, you've got my attention.
All right.
Is he talking about a giant cosmic belly button?
Not quite. Think of it as a sacred center,
Okay.
a point of connection to something larger than ourselves. It could be a physical place like a mountain or a temple, or it could be an internal space, a place of grounding and stillness within us.
So it's about finding that center, that place of stability amidst all the chaos of life.
Precisely. Campbell gives examples from all over the world: sacred mountains, ancient temples, even the tree of life in various mythologies.
Right, the tree of life.
These symbols represent a point of access to the divine, to the source of all creation.
So it's like that feeling of being deeply rooted, of knowing where you belong in the world.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that the world navel isn't fixed in any one location. It's a concept, an archetype that we can tap into wherever we are.
Okay.
It's about finding that inner sanctuary, that place of peace and clarity within ourselves.
And I can see how that's an essential part of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
After all, the hero often has to leave their known world, their comfort zone, to embark on the adventure.
Right.
And then they return, hopefully having found a new center, a deeper understanding of themselves and the world.
It's a beautiful cycle, isn't it?
It is.
And it speaks to the transformative power of venturing into the unknown by leaving our familiar shores. We open ourselves up to new experiences, new perspectives, and ultimately a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us.
So we've talked about the challenges and transformations of the hero's journey, but what about the rewards?
Right.
What does the hero bring back from their adventure?
That's where the boon comes in.
The boon.
It's the gift, the reward, or the wisdom that the hero brings back from their journey to share with their community.
Like a souvenir from a life-changing trip.
Exactly, but the boon can take many forms. It might be a tangible object, like a magical sword or a healing elixir, or it could be knowledge, wisdom, a new skill, or even a renewed sense of purpose.
Like Prometheus stealing fire from the gods and bringing it back to humanity.
Exactly. That's a pretty epic boon.
It is.
And it highlights the potential for the hero's journey to benefit not just the individual, but the entire community.
But sometimes the boon is more subtle, right? Like
Yeah.
a change in perspective, a deeper understanding of oneself, or a newfound appreciation for life.
Absolutely. And those internal boons can be just as powerful, if not more so.
Right.
It's like the hero returns with a light that shines outward, illuminating the world around them and inspiring others to seek their own truth.
It's amazing how these ancient stories can offer such profound insights into the human experience.
It is.
But Campbell doesn't shy away from the darker side of the hero's journey either, does he?
No, he doesn't. He acknowledges the dangers, the temptations, and the possibility of failure.
Right.
The hero's path is rarely smooth sailing.
Yeah.
There are obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt.
Like Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Exactly, a
Yeah.
classic tale of hubris and the consequences of overreaching. It's a reminder that even the most gifted individuals can fall prey to temptation or make mistakes, and it underscores the importance of humility, self-awareness, and seeking guidance when we need it.
So it's not just about achieving greatness, it's about navigating the challenges with wisdom and integrity.
Right.
But what happens when the hero does succeed?
Yeah.
What's it like to return to the ordinary world after such an extraordinary experience?
That's a crucial part of the journey and often a challenging one. The hero may have changed so much that they no longer fit in with their old life. They may struggle to communicate what they've learned or find a place for their newfound wisdom.
So we're back, and as we're going through this book, I'm noticing this theme of death and rebirth that keeps popping up.
It is pretty prevalent, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not just about literal death, right? More like a symbolic death.
Exactly. It's about shedding old patterns, beliefs, identities that no longer serve us, making space for something new to emerge.
Right, like that whole belly the whale idea.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the symbolic space where this death and rebirth takes place, being swallowed whole, descending into darkness, facing the unknown.
Yeah, and it sounds terrifying, but also kind of transformative.
That's the thing. It can be, both Campbell uses so many powerful examples. Jonah and the whale Osiris being dismembered and resurrected Persephone's descent into the underworld.
Yeah, those are some intense myths, but I can see the parallels to our own lives, those times when we feel like we're falling apart, losing ourselves.
Like we have to go through that darkness, that symbolic death to come out the other side renewed.
So it's not about avoiding the tough stuff, it's about recognizing those dark periods as part of the journey.
Exactly. And remember, we don't have to go through it alone.
Right.
Campbell reminds us these patterns, they're universal. They've played out for heroes throughout history, and they're playing out in our lives right now.
And speaking of patterns, one of the most hopeful elements of the hero's journey is the return. The hero doesn't just go on this adventure for themselves. They bring back a boon to share with the world.
The boon, that's the proof of their transformation.
Right. Sometimes it's tangible, a magical sword, a healing elixir, but often it's less tangible. Wisdom, compassion, a renewed sense of hope.
Like King Arthur bringing back Excalibur from the other world.
Yeah, that's a good one. A symbol of his right to rule, a tool for uniting his people.
Exactly. It highlights how the hero's journey can benefit not just the individual, but the entire community.
And that ripple effect. When one person goes through a transformative experience and shares their boon, it can inspire others to embark on their own journeys.
For sure.
But sometimes the boon is even more personal, right? Like a deeper understanding of oneself, a newfound appreciation for life, a stronger connection to something greater than oneself.
Absolutely. Those internal transformations are powerful too. It's like the hero returns radiating a new light, and that light can illuminate the world around them.
You're reminding me of Clarissa Pinkola Estes' introduction to the book.
Oh, yeah.
She talks about the power of stories to heal and connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Right. She even compares stories to rivers, these flowing currents of wisdom and experience, connecting us to our ancestors and the collective unconscious.
And she makes this really interesting point about how in traditional cultures, stories were often shared in a communal setting,
Yeah.
which created a sense of belonging and shared understanding.
It's like those stories were weaving the community together, passing down wisdom and values from one generation to the next.
Makes you wonder if we've lost something in our modern world by consuming stories mostly in isolation through books, movies, screens.
It's a good question. Are we missing out on that sense of collective experience, of shared meaning making that comes from experiencing stories together?
Maybe we need to be more intentional about creating those spaces where we can share our stories, listen to each other's journeys, support each other's growth.
I think so. We need to reclaim that sense of community around storytelling because both Campbell and Estes, they remind us, stories have the power to heal, to inspire, to connect us to something much greater than ourselves.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the hero's journey.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it sparked some new insights and inspired you to keep exploring the power of story in your own life.
Keep diving deeper, keep asking questions, and keep living your own hero's journey.
Until next time, happy adventuring.